The Last Stand of Terra. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Luna Base, watching Earth burn. The Drachnid ships had appeared without warning 3 days ago, their massive vessels eclipsing entire cities before opening fire. Now the blue marble she called home was scared with orange flames visible even from orbit. "Commander," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cracked through her comm. "We've detected unusual energy signatures from the wreckage in Sydney. The science team says it's still active." Sarah's heart raced. After 72 hours of relentless destruction, this was the first piece of good news. Get me a secure channel to General Santos. Now. Within hours, Sarah led a stealth insertion team to the ruins of Sydney. The alien ship had crashed after a lucky hit from Earth's last remaining orbital defense platform. As they approached the wreckage, their radiation meters spiked. "Careful," Dr. Emily Wong, their xenotech specialist, warned. "These readings suggest their power core is still intact." She moved forward with her scanning equipment, her movements precise despite the bulky hazmat suit. "This is incredible. Their technology. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Sarah watched as her team worked to secure the crash site. Around them, Sydney's once proud skyline lay in ruins, a testament to humanity's vulnerability. But among the ashes, they had found hope. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. Deep beneath the Australian outback, in a facility known only to a handful of people, Project Prometheus was born. Dr. Wong led a team of Earth's brightest minds in studying the alien technology, while Sarah coordinated with what remained of Earth's military leadership. "The power core operates on principles we barely understand," Dr. Wong explained during a briefing, her holographic display showing complex energy patterns. "But we're learning. Fast." The Drachnid's advantage isn't just technological, it's in how they integrate different systems. We can do the same. General Santos, his face worn from sleepless nights, leaned forward. "How long until we can weaponize this?" "That's not the right question," Dr. Wong replied. "We shouldn't just copy their technology. We need to improve it. Humanity has always excelled at taking existing ideas and pushing them further. Give me 3 months." Sarah studied the projections. "We don't have 3 months. The Drachnids are systematically destroying every major population center. At their current pace." 2 months, Dr. Wong interrupted. "But I'll need everything. Every resource, every scientist who survived the initial attack. And I mean everything." General Santos nodded grimly. "Done. Commander Chen, this is now your top priority. Whatever Dr. Wong needs, she gets. We're calling it Project Prometheus for a reason. We're stealing fire from the gods themselves." The next 2 months transformed the underground facility into a hive of desperate innovation. Sarah watched as Dr. Wong's team worked miracles, combining alien technology with human ingenuity. They weren't just building weapons, they were creating something entirely new. The breakthrough came during the 6th week. Sarah was reviewing security protocols when Dr. Wong burst into her office, her usually composed demeanor replaced with barely contained excitement. "We've done it," she said, spreading technical diagrams across Sarah's desk. "The Drachnid's quantum technology isn't just about weapons or shields. It's about space itself. They don't just travel through space. They manipulate it. And we figured out how to do it better." Sarah studied the designs. The ship they were building wasn't just a vessel. It was a testament to human determination. Where the Drachnids used brute force, they had created efficiency. Where alien tech was rigid, they had introduced flexibility. "Will it work?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. She had watched Dr. Wong's team test each component, had seen the successful trials that seemed to defy physics itself. "It'll do more than work," Dr. Wong replied. "It'll change everything. We're calling it the Nemesis." As if in response to their progress, the Drachnid attacks intensified. They had detected the power signatures from the facility, though they hadn't yet located it. Each day brought them closer, and each day the Nemesis grew closer to completion. Sarah stood in the massive underground hangar, watching as workers attached the final panels to the ship's quantum-enhanced hull. The Nemesis wasn't as large as the Drachnid vessels, but it didn't need to be. Every cubic meter had been engineered with a single purpose: survival. Final systems check complete, Dr. Wong reported, her voice tight with exhaustion and anticipation. We're ready. Above them, sensors detected multiple Drachnid ships entering the atmosphere. They had found them. Sarah looked at the faces around her: scientists, soldiers, survivors, and saw her own determination reflected back. Begin launch sequence, she ordered. It's time to show them humanity's answer to extinction. The Nemesis rose from its underground berth as the facility crumbled around them, its quantum shields already deflecting enemy fire. Sarah took her place on the bridge, Dr. Wong at the engineering station beside her. This wasn't just humanity's last stand. It was the beginning of their counterattack. All stations, report, Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Weapons online. Quantum drive ready. Shields at maximum. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Drachnids had thought humanity would be an easy target. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Take us up, she ordered. Let's show them what happens when you corner humanity. Project Phoenix rising. The Nemesis streaked through Earth's atmosphere, its quantum shields dispersing the heat of re-entry into harmless waves of light. Commander Chen watched as 3 Drachnid warships adjusted their trajectory to intercept, their massive forms casting shadows over the Australian continent below. They're charging weapons, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his hands flying over the tactical console. Energy signatures matched their primary cannon configurations. Dr. Wong, Sarah called out, time to see if your modifications work as planned. Emily Wong didn't look up from her engineering station, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic displays. Quantum field generator at full capacity, redirecting power to the adaptive shield matrix. The first Drachnid blast struck the Nemesis head-on. Instead of attempting to block the energy, the shield system absorbed it, channels of light racing across the ship's hull like lightning in reverse. The second and third shots followed immediately, but the result was the same. Shield capacity at 140%, Emily announced, allowing herself a small smile. The energy conversion is working even better than simulations suggested. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Now let's show them what we can do with all that extra power. Target the lead vessel's propulsion systems. The Nemesis's main weapon array came to life, modified Drachnid technology enhanced by human innovation. The beam that lanced out wasn't the crude plasma discharge of alien weapons, but a precisely focused stream of quantum energy. It struck the lead warship's engine housing and simply passed through, leaving a perfect circular hole. The massive vessel began to list, secondary explosions rippling along its length. Multiple new contacts, Rodriguez warned. They're calling in reinforcements. Sarah had expected this. The Drachnids hadn't achieved their dominance of space through half measures. Dr. Wong, is the quantum drive ready? Coordinates locked for lunar orbit, Emily confirmed. But Sarah, we haven't tested the drive with passengers yet. No time like the present. Sarah opened the ship-wide comm. All hands braced for quantum transition. The transition felt like reality itself was being stretched, a sensation that lasted both an instant and an eternity. When it ended, Earth was a distant blue marble, and the moon filled their view screens. Transition successful, Emily reported, though her complexion had taken on a slightly green tinge. All systems nominal. The drive performed exactly as designed. Sarah allowed her crew a moment to recover. They had just made history, the first human-controlled quantum jump, but there wasn't time to celebrate. Status of the Drachnid fleet. They're regrouping in high Earth orbit, Rodriguez answered. 7 capital ships, plus support vessels. They seem hesitant. Good, they should be. Begin power-up sequence for the main quantum array. It's time for Phase 2. The next 12 hours became a deadly game of cat and mouse in cislunar space. The nemesis would appear, strike with devastating precision, and vanish before the drachnids could effectively respond. Each engagement provided valuable combat data, allowing Emily and her engineering team to refine their systems in real time. During a brief respite behind the moon's dark side, Emily called Sarah to the engineering bay. "We've analyzed the combat telemetry," she explained, pulling up detailed scans of drachnid shield frequencies. "Their adaptive capabilities are impressive, but limited. They can only respond to known threats." Sarah studied the data. "And we're anything but known." "Exactly. Each time we engage, they adjust their defenses based on our previous attack pattern. But we're not just copying their technology. We're evolving it. Every shot we fire is slightly different, calibrated based on their previous defensive response." A plan began to form in Sarah's mind. "Can we use that? Push them to commit their defensive resources in a specific way." Emily's eyes lit up with understanding. "Like a boxer setting up their opponent for a knockout blow. Yes, we could modify the quantum array tow." The ship's alert klaxon cut her off. "Commander, to the bridge." Rodriguez's voice came through the comm. "The drachnids are making their move." When Sarah reached the bridge, she immediately saw the problem. The drachnid fleet had split into 3 groups, each approaching from a different vector. More concerning were the energy readings from their weapons. "They've synchronized their weapon frequencies," Rodriguez reported. "If all those beams hit us at once." "They won't," Sarah stated firmly. "Dr. Wong, begin the sequence we discussed. Let's show them what happens when you try to box in humanity." The nemesis moved with precise purpose, allowing itself to be pushed into position by the approaching drachnid vessels. Each evasive maneuver was calculated to appear desperate, each return fire carefully calibrated to provoke specific shield adaptations. "They're closing the trap," Rodriguez warned. 30 seconds until optimal firing range." Sarah waited until the last possible moment, watching as the drachnid ships adjusted their positions for a coordinated strike. "Now, Dr. Wong." The Nemesis's quantum array came to life, but not with a weapon blast. Instead, it created a localized field of distorted spacetime, using the drachnid's own synchronized energy emissions as a catalyst. For a brief moment, physics itself seemed to hiccup. When reality reasserted itself, 3 drachnid ships had simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to energy by their own weapons. The remaining vessels immediately began to retreat, their formation broken. "Pursuit course," Sarah ordered, her voice calm despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "They came to our home uninvited. It's time we returned the favor." As the Nemesis prepared for its first interstellar quantum jump, Sarah looked at her crew, humans using stolen alien fire to forge their own destiny. The drachnids had thought Earth would be an easy conquest. Instead, they had created their own worst nightmare, humanity with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The stars beckoned, and vengeance awaited. Vengeance awakens. 3 weeks into their pursuit of the retreating drachnid forces, the Nemesis emerged from quantum space at the edge of an unfamiliar star system. A massive red giant dominated the view, its crimson light casting an eerie glow across the bridge. "Multiple signatures detected," Rodriguez reported, his voice tight. "A lot of them. This isn't just a military outpost, it's a hub." Sarah studied the tactical display. Dozens of drachnid warships moved in precise patterns around a massive space station, its architecture a blend of angular efficiency and intimidating scale. Shipyards stretched for kilometers, producing vessels of war with mechanical precision. "They're not aware of us yet," Emily said from her station. "The quantum emergence was clean, and our stealth systems are holding." Sarah nodded, her mind already formulating a plan. "Begin passive scans. I want to know everything about that station. If this is their primary military hub in this sector, taking it out would cripple their ability to project force." The next few hours were tense as the Nemesis slowly gathered intelligence, using its advanced sensors to pierce the Drachnid security measures. What they found was both troubling and promising. The station's quantum core is massive, Emily explained during the tactical briefing. It's providing power for their entire shipbuilding operation. But that same core is also their weakness. If we can destabilize it, the resulting quantum cascade would tear the station apart, Sarah finished, and take a good portion of their fleet with it. Rodriguez cleared his throat. There's something else, Commander. We've detected unusual energy signatures from several of the docked ships. They match the weapons used in the Earth attack, but bigger. Sarah's blood ran cold. They're building more planet killers. Not for long, Emily interjected. I've analyzed their defense grid. There's a blind spot in their sensor coverage. Small, but exploitable. We can get close enough for a precision strike. Sarah considered their options. A direct assault would be suicide. Even with their advanced technology, the Nemesis couldn't take on an entire fleet. But a surgical strike, using their quantum technology in ways the Drachnids hadn't anticipated, that might work. Plot an approach vector, she ordered. We'll only get one shot at this. The Nemesis moved through space like a ghost, its stealth systems operating at maximum capacity. Every crew member held their breath as they passed within kilometers of Drachnid patrol vessels, their presence masked by carefully modulated quantum fields. They were nearly in position when everything went wrong. New contact. Rodriguez's warning came just as a massive vessel emerged from quantum space directly in their path. It's huge. The ship that blocked their path dwarfed even the largest Drachnid warships they'd encountered. Its hull was covered in weapon emplacements, and energy readings suggested shielding far beyond anything they'd yet faced. Incoming transmission, Rodriguez reported. They're hailing us. Sarah straightened in her command chair. Put it through. The viewer activated, revealing a Drachnid unlike any they'd seen. Its scales were adorned with cybernetic enhancements, and its eyes held an intelligence that sent chills down Sarah's spine. Nemesis, the alien spoke, its voice translated by their computers. You have caused quite a disturbance in our empire. I am High Admiral Vexthor, and I must admit, you've impressed us. Sarah kept her expression neutral. You attacked our world without provocation. Murdered billions. Did you expect us to just die quietly? The alien's inner eyelids flickered in what might have been amusement. No, we expected exactly this response. You humans are predictable in your defiance. It's why we chose Earth as our test. Test. Sarah's hands clenched on her armrests. Of course, we've been watching your species for some time. Your potential for advancement, your ability to adapt and improve upon existing technologies. The attack on Earth was a catalyst. We needed to see how you would respond when pushed to the brink of extinction. Emily's voice came through Sarah's private comm. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns. That ship, it's not just Drachnid technology. There's something else. Sarah's mind raced. Why? Why test us this way? Because the galaxy is changing, Vexthor replied. Ancient powers are stirring, threats that the Drachnid Empire cannot face alone. We needed to know if humanity could be useful. Useful. Sarah's voice dripped with contempt. You murdered our people to see if we'd make good cannon fodder. To see if you could innovate under pressure. To see if you could take our technology and improve it in ways we could not. And you have exceeded all expectations. The Nemesis is proof of that. Sarah glanced at her tactical display. During the conversation, Drachnid ships had been moving into position around them. But they weren't in attack formation. It was an honor guard. So what now? Sarah asked, though she already suspected the answer. Now, Commander Chen, we offer you a choice. Join us. Help us prepare for what's coming. The Drachnid Empire can restore Earth, protect your species, and give you access to technology beyond your imagining. And if we refuse, Vexthor's expression hardened. Then we finish what we started. One ship, no matter how advanced, cannot stand against an empire. Sarah looked at her crew, saw the same anger and determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. The Drachnids had underestimated humanity once. It was time to show them that same mistake twice would be their last. "You know," she said, turning back to the screen, "there's something you should understand about humans. We don't respond well to threats." She cut the transmission with a gesture. "Dr. Wong, is that blind spot still viable?" Emily's fingers flew across her console. "Yes, but we'll have to go through the High Admiral's ship to reach it." Sarah smiled grimly. "Good. All hands, battle stations. Let's show them exactly why testing humanity was their biggest mistake. The hunter becomes the hunted." The first shot from the Nemesis caught High Admiral Vexthor's flagship completely by surprise. The quantum beam struck precisely where Emily's calculations predicted the shield harmonics would be weakest, piercing through multiple decks before the Drachnid defenses could adapt. "Their fleet is responding," Rodriguez reported, his hands dancing across the tactical console. "Multiple vessels moving to intercept." Sarah watched as the massive Drachnid ships began to close in. "Dr. Wong, initiate attack pattern Omega. Let's show them what else we've learned from their technology." The Nemesis quantum drive engaged, but not for a long-range jump. Instead, the ship seemed to flicker in and out of reality, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously. Each apparition fired its weapons, forcing the Drachnid vessels to divide their defensive responses. "Quantum echoes are stable," Emily announced, her voice strained with concentration. "Their targeting systems can't distinguish the real ship from the duplicates." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Target their shipyards. Maximum yield." The Nemesis, the real one, lined up its shot on the massive construction facilities. The quantum beam that lanced out was different this time, modulated to a frequency that Emily had discovered in their analysis of Drachnid technology. When it struck the shipyards, the effect was catastrophic. The quantum cascade reaction spread like a wave of unreality, dissolving metal and energy shields alike. Partially completed warships crumbled into their component atoms, their matter converted to pure energy. The destruction created a chain reaction that raced through the station's power distribution network. "High Admiral's ship is pursuing," Rodriguez warned. "They've adapted to our quantum signature." "As expected," Sarah replied calmly. "Dr. Wong." Emily's fingers flew across her console. "Ready for Phase 2. The Nemesis turned to face Vexthor's pursuing flagship, its quantum drive spooling up for what appeared to be another short-range jump. The massive Drachnid vessel adjusted its course to intercept, its weapons charging. "They're powering up their main gun," Rodriguez reported. "Energy readings are off the scale. Hold position," Sarah ordered, even as the enemy vessel's weapon ports began to glow with gathered energy. "Wait for it." The High Admiral's ship fired, a beam of pure destruction that would have annihilated any normal vessel. But the Nemesis wasn't normal. At the last possible moment, its quantum field shifted in a way that the Drachnids had never seen before. The energy beam struck the Nemesis and bounced back. The reflected shot caught Vexthor's flagship square in its bow, the vessel's own shields useless against its reflected energy. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as systems overloaded and failed. "Direct hit," Rodriguez announced, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. "Their power core is destabilizing." "Open a channel," Sarah commanded. The viewer activated to show Vexthor's bridge in chaos, emergency lighting casting harsh shadows across the High Admiral's cybernetic features. "Impossible," the Drachnid leader growled. "Our weapons, you couldn't have. You wanted to test humanity's ability to innovate." Sarah's voice was cold. "Consider this your final exam. Your empire thought we'd be useful cannon fodder. Instead, we've become your worst nightmare." Multiple quantum signatures suddenly flared on their sensors as more Drachnid reinforcements arrived in the system. But Sarah wasn't worried. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Dr. Wong, send the signal. Emily pressed a sequence of commands into her console. Across the system, quantum beacons hidden during their initial approach activated. Each one generated a field identical to the Nemesis quantum echo signature. What is this? Vex Thor demanded as his sensors showed hundreds of potential hostile targets appearing throughout his defensive grid. This is humanity showing you the true meaning of innovation, Sarah replied. Those beacons are programmed with everything we learned about your quantum technology. Right now, they're transmitting that data to every corner of your empire, every resistance movement, every subjugated species, every world you've conquered. They're all getting a detailed technical package on how to defeat your greatest weapons. The High Admiral's expression shifted from confusion to horror as he realized the implications. You'll create chaos. The Empire will tear itself apart. No, Sarah corrected him. We're creating freedom. You thought Earth would be an easy conquest. Instead, you've given the galaxy the tools of your own destruction. On her tactical display, Sarah could already see Drachnid ships turning on each other as some crews chose to defect. The quantum beacons were doing more than just transmitting technical data. They were broadcasting proof of the Empire's vulnerability. Commander, Rodriguez interrupted, I'm detecting multiple quantum signatures. Ships are emerging, but they're not Drachnid designs. Sarah nodded. During their pursuit of the Drachnid fleet, the Nemesis had made contact with other civilizations, other victims of the Empire. They had shared their discoveries, formed alliances, and planned for this moment. You didn't just fail your test of humanity, High Admiral, Sarah said as ships of various designs began to appear throughout the system. You failed to understand what happens when you push an entire galaxy too far. Vex Thor's response was cut off as his flagship's power core finally gave in to the cascade reaction. The massive vessel broke apart in a spectacular display of quantum energy, a fitting symbol for the Empire's coming collapse. Orders, Commander. Rodriguez asked as the coalition fleet they had helped organize began engaging the remaining Drachnid forces. Sarah looked at her crew, humans who had taken alien fire and forged it into something new. They had come seeking vengeance, but they had found something more important: the power to create change. Set course for the nearest Drachnid colony world, she commanded. It's time to show the rest of the galaxy how humanity handles liberation. Dawn of a new era. 6 months after the battle at the Drachnid military hub, the Nemesis orbited a familiar blue world. Earth was healing. Green had returned to areas once scorched by alien weapons, and the reconstruction efforts were visible even from orbit. The latest reports from the surface are encouraging, Emily said, joining Sarah at the observation deck. The terraforming technology we acquired from the Meridians is accelerating the planet's recovery. Estimates suggest full environmental restoration within 2 years. Sarah nodded, watching as a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels moved through their patrol routes. The defense network they'd established was a far cry from the primitive systems that had failed to protect Earth during the initial Drachnid attack. Any word from the outer colonies? She asked, referring to the former Drachnid worlds that had declared independence in the wake of the Empire's collapse. The transition councils are holding. Most worlds are embracing their newfound freedom. Emily paused, pulling up a holographic display. Though there's something interesting you should see from the Centauri sector. The display showed a massive construction project. Ships of various designs worked together, building something that dwarfed even the largest vessels they'd encountered. The Coalition's first joint scientific installation, Emily explained. They're calling it the Nexus. Representatives from 20 different species working together to advance quantum technology. They've specifically requested human participation in the project. Sarah smiled. Quite a change from 6 months ago, when most of them saw us as primitive newcomers to galactic society. Well, we did help overthrow an empire that had dominated them for centuries. That tends to change perspectives. Their conversation was interrupted by Rodriguez's voice over the comm. Commander, the Council is ready for your report. The council chamber had been established in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. As Sarah entered, she saw faces both human and alien. The coalition's leadership structure was still evolving, but the principles of mutual respect and cooperation were firmly established. Commander Chen, Council President Martinez began. Your latest survey of former Drachnid space is complete. Yes, Madam President. The last Imperial holdouts have been contained. More importantly, we've confirmed that the quantum beacon network remains stable. Any attempt to rebuild their military advantage would be detected and countered immediately. An alien representative, a Meridian with crystalline features, spoke next. And what of the warnings? The ancient powers that the Drachnids claim to fear? Sarah had been expecting this question. Our deep space probes have detected unusual energy signatures at the galaxy's edge. Dr. Wong's analysis suggests they're similar to, but far more advanced than, anything we've encountered. Whether they represent a genuine threat remains to be seen. But if they are, Emily added from her position beside Sarah, we'll face them together. The quantum technology we've developed isn't just a weapon. It's a foundation for understanding the universe in new ways. The Nexus project is already yielding insights that would have been impossible for any single species working alone. The council chamber filled with murmurs of approval. The fear that had dominated galactic society under Drachnid rule was being replaced by something new: hope. There is one other matter, President Martinez said. The Coalition Defense Force needs a flagship, a symbol of our united strength. She smiled. The Nemesis has more than proven itself worthy of that role. Sarah looked at her crew, human and alien alike, who had become family through months of battles and discoveries. We would be honored, Madam President, though I suggest a new name for this new era. Oh, the President raised an eyebrow. Phoenix, Sarah replied. To remind us that from the ashes of war, something greater can rise. The renaming ceremony took place a week later. As Sarah stood on the bridge of the newly christened Phoenix, she reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They'd taken the fire of their enemies and forged it into tools of creation rather than destruction. New quantum signature detected, Rodriguez announced, interrupting her thoughts. Edge of charted space. It's like nothing we've seen before. Sarah straightened in her command chair, seeing the same mix of anticipation and determination in her crew's faces that she felt in her heart. Signal the Coalition fleet. Whatever's out there, we face it together. The Phoenix's quantum drive hummed to life, ready to carry them into whatever challenges awaited. They had learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their weapons, but in their ability to unite, adapt, and build something new from the ruins of the old. As they prepared to jump into the unknown, Sarah remembered the Drachnid's fatal mistake. They had thought testing humanity would give them a weapon. Instead, it had given the galaxy a future. All stations, ready? She asked. Ready, Commander, came the unified response from her human and alien crew. Sarah smiled. Then let's show the universe what humanity and its allies can really do. Quantum jump in 3, 2, 1. The Phoenix vanished in a flash of light, carrying with it the hopes of a unified galaxy and the indomitable spirit of humanity. The dawn of their new era was just beginning.